My family, we were going on vacation. We were going to Outer Banks in North Carolina. And we were going to Outer Banks. I woke up that morning and I felt something in my eye and I started to scratch it. And I started scratching it more. Next thing I knew, we were going on a trip. I was miserable because I scratched it, the inside of my eye, and it was so much tears were coming out, all 9 hours. Now this was more than a 9-hour trip. It usually takes you 9 hours to get to the Outer Banks, but someone from my family, at least every hour in, had to go to the bathroom. And it was probably 12 hours. But my other sisters, they weren't happy either. My one sister, she was upset because she was going to leave her boyfriend for a week. My other sister, she just got back from the doctor the day before. Her cholesterol was high, and every time we stopped to get something to eat, all she was eating was toast because she thought her cholesterol would go up. We were all miserable. Our parents had to put up with this. 3 people in a standard car, in the back seat. Me and my 2 sisters, miserable. Me holding my eye like this, seeping and pussing. God, I don't know what came out of it, but it hurt so bad. But I remember getting there whenever we got there. But my mom, it was later on, she said, get a shower, let the warm water hit your eye. When it hits your eye, open your eye, let some of it get in there. And it'll soothe it. And it did soothe it a little bit. But when I laid down at night, it hurt so bad. I felt like I was going to be blinded. I was scared, actually, as a kid, that I might be blind. But my mom reassured me. She told me, the genius that she is, that the eye is one of the fastest parts of your body to heal. I woke up that next morning, and I felt better. Brand new. It was amazing. Jesus uses an analogy to his believers. He's not talking to the Pharisees now. He's using it to his believers. And he tells them, don't be judgmental. Don't be hypocritical. So he says, how can you judge your brother or sister or someone else when they have a splinter in their eye and you have a plank in your eye? Come on now. And he also tells his believers, if you are going to worry about the speck in someone else's eye, you better take the plank out of your eye. Have you ever taken wood away, like taken a wood off of a deck, staircase, and you're pulling it out of a house, and when you're pulling it or you're hammering it out, it splinters, and when you pull it out, it never really truly comes out by itself. It still splinters. So we are never, and Jesus said, we're never going to have a clean eye. We have flaws as humans. We have quirks. We can't judge someone else because we're always going to have specks in our eyes. How are we going to judge someone else's speck? We are all abnormal. None of us are normal. We have flaws, quirks. We're all freaks. And we like to judge. Humans judge, and the biggest thing we do is judge a book by its cover. It's one of the first things we do. And we judge a book by its cover, and it's not right. This is why we don't judge a book by its cover, because we truly don't know. My best friend, my best man at my wedding, he has tattoos up and down his arms. And he's just got them all everywhere. And he's the nicest guy in the world. Some of the nicest people I have ever met have tattoos everywhere. They have piercings. They have abnormal colored hair. They dress gothic. They're some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. When people judge them, we are all freaks. We're all abnormal. Only Jesus is perfect. But my friend, he had these tattoos, and at the wedding, the pastor's wife, she was looking at him, and the next day, after the rehearsal dinner, and she said to him, made him feel uncomfortable, and she was looking at him with tattoos. The next day she says, "Oh, I'm glad you covered up and wearing long sleeves for the wedding to cover up her tattoos." She was judging him. She knew better. But she was judging him. And luckily my friend had a good personality and laughed it off and just told me. But this man was standing next to me for a reason. This man did so much for me. When I needed a job, he gave me a job. He is a successful businessman. You can't judge. She would have never known that just by looking at him. A successful businessman who hires people who have felonies. He's a great man. We can't judge a book by its cover. Another thing we like to do is we're experts. We take the plank out of our eye, put it in our mouth, and we like to say the first thing that comes out of our mouth. And that hurts people. It splinters our mouth and goes into that person's eye that has splinters and makes their eye worse. Adding more splinters to the eye because we are going to say the first thing out of our mouth or how we feel and not really feel and understand what that person's going through. To listen to him, to have compassion for him is so important. And to think before you speak, not to just blurt out things that come to your mind. We may be trying to help, but it makes the matters worse when we're splintering wood into the eye of someone else that has a problem. We're not experts. The only one that knows the pain of that person is that person and Jesus Christ. We're all going through wars. We are all going through wars. Our world is hard. Our life is hard. When we walk, we are all going through pain. It's hard. We don't know what it's like unless we're in that person's shoes. As Everlast put out a song, you really don't know what it's like. And he puts out a song about homeless man. You really don't know what it's like unless you walk a mile in that man's shoes. You really don't know what it's like for a woman that has to choose. And he talks about another of losing someone. You really don't know what it's like unless you have to lose, unless you lose. So we really don't know what it's like. Only Jesus knows what it's like. So we can't just be experts of someone else and just spit out the first thing that's on our mind. We have to listen, have compassion. And when we say something, we think about it. Because we really don't know what it's like. The last thing we can do sometimes, one of the things I think of, is we take the plank out of our eye and we just start beating each other with it. We have enough pain in our lives. Enough pain in our lives to be beating each other with the plank from our eyes. To throwing people under the bus. To be manipulating people. To be trying to ruin people. To gossip. Saying false rumors. Bullying people. We don't need to take the plank out of our eye and hit someone else with it. We're beating each other. We have enough pain. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or what demographics you come from. We all live with pain. We don't need to be beating each other with the judgment stick or the plank from our eye. Lady Gaga is one of the most successful women artists today. Everyone thinks she has it by the world by the tail. But she lives in constant pain. She has her hip broke a couple years ago. And when she dances and does her choreography, dancing, she's in deep physical pain when she does that. And then she has deep mental pain from PTSD, from being sexually molested and sexually abused. And her relationships have failed in her life. And she feels that loneliness. We all have pain. She goes home. Throughout the day, her day's so busy, people are tugging her this way and that way. But when she goes home, no one is there. No lover is there. She has deep pain. We all have that deep pain. We really don't know what it's like unless we're in that person's shoes. Or Jesus knows. Because Jesus suffered. Jesus is teaching against hypocritical ways, judgmental ways. We cannot be hypocritical and judgmental. We have to have love and mercy and grace, like I teach every week. That's the teachings of Jesus, and Jesus also teaches us not to be judgmental and hypocritical. So we can't take out the plank from our eye and just start beating each other with it, trying to ruin each other, throwing each other in the bus. We can't be experts of someone else and take this plank from our eye, put it in our mouth, and splinter it into them just by saying whatever we want. We think we have compassion. We think before we say. We listen to that person because we really don't know what it's like. We're all going through a war. We all have flaws and warts and quirks. We're all freaks. And we certainly don't want to judge a book by the cover, and that's one of the easiest things to do. My friend Jerry. Jerry's in his 90s now. That's just Jerry. That's old lonely Jerry. That's Jerry who is senile or having dementia now. That's not just Jerry. Jerry has a story, and we all have a story. As imperfect as we are, God has made us perfect. But we are freaks. Jerry has a story. He's not senile Jerry. Jerry is a World War II veteran. Not many are left with us. Not only that, for 40 years, he built boats for some of the most prestigious people in the United States, including the DuPont family. Jerry, after he sold his company, moved to Vermont, lived out there, loved it, and then came back. In 67 years, he was married to his wife, and she passed away when they came back to New Jersey, her last year of her life. And he has traveled to places most of us won't ever see. He's been all over Europe and the Caribbean. That's not just Jerry. Jerry has a story. We all have a story. We cannot hit each other over the head with the sticks of our planks and judge. We cannot just shoot out whatever we want and splinter someone else's eye even worse. We cannot just judge a book by the cover. Jesus teaches us not to be hypocritical, not to judge. We have to listen to Jesus' teachings, because if we don't listen to Jesus' teaching and we're judgmental and we're hypocritical and we have that plank in our eye, it is blinding us from God's glory. We listen to the teaching of love, compassion, kindness. That is Jesus' teaching, and not to be hypocritical and not to be judgmental, because when we're being judgmental and hypocritical, we're taking away the glory of God and we're being blinded by it. This is why we don't judge. I'll explain a story to you and I'll sit down. A man is in church and they shake hands as they're greeting one another, and he feels really bad. And he shouldn't feel bad because he's there in the presence of the Lord no matter what he's wearing. And he feels bad. He says, "I'm so sorry for my appearance. I'm so sorry for my appearance." He starts explaining the story to the people he's shaking to. I woke up this morning, I polished my shoes. I woke up extra early to polish my shoes. Found the best outfit I could have. But I had to walk 2 miles to get here. I'm so sorry for my appearance. In the mud, in the dirt, and that's why I don't look presentable. He shouldn't be sorry. He's in the presence of the Lord. Who should be sorry are the ones that are judging him by his looks. I'm so sorry. I woke up early in the morning to polish my shoes. Had to walk 2 miles in the dirt. In the mud. This poor man. This is why we don't judge. Because we don't really know what it's like. Amen.